Good evening, everybody. We are back another day. We got to start off right. This is the day the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Good evening, everybody. How many times have you thought about starting a business and you kind of didn't have a plan, or you didn't kind of know where to start, and you weren't sure what you should do first? Well, tonight that's what we're going to talk about. Good evening. I'm your host, Wonder Low, and this is the Ladies Lounge with Wonder Low. I have an awesome guest with me tonight. He is, I consider him to be a pastor and a friend all at the same time. He has a tremendous experience background in small business development, in commercial lending, and you name it, business wise, he pretty much has a handle on it. So we're going to get to him in just a second. So let me do a little bit of housekeeping before we get in. I hope that you all are not here. I can hear feedback, but I don't know where it's coming from. So I don't know how to fix it. But anyway, housekeeper wise, if this is your first time watching, then thank you so much for taking some time out to tune in tonight for the show. Please don't let this be the last time you come. Always come back and visit. We try to keep an interesting topic going at all times for everybody. If you have not done so already, please go over to my Facebook page and, like I said, the Lady Sounds Wonderlow. And you can also catch it on YouTube. And I'll be honest with y'all, I don't update YouTube like I'm supposed to. I'm working on it. I just hadn't figured out how to do all of what I do in 24 hours sometimes. So just keep up with me on Facebook if you can. If you can now, also share this with somebody that you know is interested in starting a business. The topic for the whole month of August is going to be starting a small business. So each Tuesday, we're going to cover a different segment of this. So last week, and Pastor, you can jump in anytime. Oh, I didn't tell y'all his name. I'm so sorry. It's Anthony Armstrong over there. Wait a minute, Anthony. I think our sound might be a little bit delayed. So if you see him act a little bit later, then that just means the sound is delayed a little bit. But we're gonna jump in real quick, and let me just go over a little bit of what we talked about last week, because we had some technical difficulties, so we might have missed things. Last week we were talking about self-evaluation, and I tell people when I've had folks that come to me in the past and they're talking about starting a business, first start with evaluating self. And what I mean by that is, how good are you at time management? Do you have the time and the resources to properly start a business? Have you thought about the mental weight that is going to be on you? Have you thought about the time constraints that you're going to have? Have you thought about how this is going to play out in your family? Or even if don't have a family, you're single. How is this going to affect your social life? How is this going to affect everything around you? Because, like Anthony said last week, we operate on this out of this myth that within us getting in business a year, we're on the beach having fun and kick back, and that can be the case. Now I've seen some folks do it, but that doesn't mean it always works that way. You want to make sure that you're allowing yourself time to grow your business and get it to a point where it's healthy and you can take those breaks. But I'll be one to tell you, when you first starting out, there's gonna be some days and some nights, and it's gonna be some days when the night ran into the next day, because you're gonna have to put some work in it. You're gonna have to really get in and get your hands dirty, get your feet dirty, and really step into it and really work hard on it. So that's just what a little bit of what we talked about last week, is just making sure that when you say I want to start a business, that you understand all of the things that go along with it, all of the financial, the emotional, the physical, the whole 9 yards of it. So tonight we're going to jump into doing talking about business plans. And I'm trying to get to the subject as fast as we can so that we don't, just in case we do have some technical difficulties, we've got a little bit of this stuff done. Also, while Anthony is going through the business plan, I'm going to be typing some stuff in the comments. So if you missed something, make sure that you go back and read the comments, and I'll put the 7 parts of the business plan over there. But Anthony, I'm going to turn over to you. You take it away. You're the expert tonight. You're the subject matter expert.
Oh,
I'm the
really?
facilitator.
Really? Really? No, you are. Good evening, everyone. So, plan to succeed in creating a business plan. The business plan is that big, amazing vision, God given vision, dreams, your aspirations. in a written form, or nowadays I would like to say in electronic form. So the the business plan supposed to be detailed, and it's supposed to have a format that can be easily followed and interpreted. So whatever the vision is, whatever your dreams are, whatever your aspirations are as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner, you want to create a business plan. Everything has to have an order to it. You have to have order. So the business plan help brings order. Um, so when we start talking about the business plan, we really home in on visions, missions, and goals. We start with the vision. The vision is just the purpose for being, the purpose for existing, why you're doing what you're doing. Why do you want to do this? So that's the vision. That's the overall vision what you're looking to accomplish and to achieve with your business. Whether that business is a for-profit business or a non-profit business. Both for-profit business as well as non-profit business both need a business plan. The mission is the various different things that you're set out to do and that you want to accomplish that ties in, that goes inside with the vision. So that's why vision statements and mission statements are vital components of the business, because if you start out with the vision and you tie in the mission as a part of the vision, then you can really start to see where you're going. Now, we've basically started to get off into the part of what you call the executive summary. Again, whether you're talking about a for-profit business or a non-profit business, the executive summary is absolutely vital. The executive summary is basically is the down and dirty of the business: who, what, when, where, how, why, and summarize. It's a compiles glimpse of every component of the business, every component of the business plan. And so a good executive summary goes a long way. Now, over the years, what I've learned that can be a good complement to an executive summary is what we would call a corporate capability statement. Corporate capability statements, for those of us that come from a procurement
Mm-hmm.
background or trade show background, typically you will find a statement a company would have, again, whether paper based or electronic form, that would tell you who the company is, what they do, why they do it. It has some other pertinent information out there. Sometimes it may have this DUNS number and various different
Oh, I don't know if y'all
certifications
can hear me or
and
not.
X codes.
There we go.
So the corporate capability statement is a good complement for an executive summary. And if you have a really good executive summary, then you can develop a corporate capability statement. That's the bulk of your corporate capability statement right there, is your executive summary. So, again, know your vision, know your vision, be detailed about your vision, be detailed about the mission of what you're setting out to do, how you're going to go by achieving it. So it's a lot of moving parts. A business plan is not a document that you create and you electronically file away to the cloud or to Dropbox, or if it's a paper document, you push it back in the file cabinets. A business plan is alive. It is a live. There's constantly going to be variables changing, that's as it pertain to that business, that business plan has to be adjusted. So the business plan, once again, is just not something you do and you sweep away. It's alive. And so
Mm-hmm.
anything that's alive, you have to need nourishment, you need maintenance, you need attention. So you're gonna see your business plan and different components of it daily, because what your business should reflect is your business plan, and you should be implementing and executing the various different components of your business plan. And by doing so, help to ensure your success and good profit margins. So let's take a step back for just a moment. When I say that the business plan is alive, there are variables that constantly changes that we have to make adjustments to. One of the biggest variables that's out there that's completely out of any of our control that we do not have control over is the economy. The economy as a whole, we have to make provisions within our business plan to be able to speak to the different peak times as well as down times that can arise in our economy. That's where the research phase of before you do a business plan, there's always a research phase that goes along. So last week we talked about self-awareness, and which I typically would call the SWOT analysis. When you look at your strengths and you look at your weaknesses, you look at your opportunities, you look at your threats. And so, being self-aware as far as you, the entrepreneur, you, the small business owner, or what strengths you have, what weaknesses you have, what opportunities you have, what threats you have, and making sure that the right things are in place to address those. But the business plan has to be able to speak to the economy as a whole and maneuver through it. So a really good business plan would max it out when it's high, when the economy is high, and when job creation is high, and we have very low unemployment. G- the GDP is great. All of those factors are just booming, right? It's just a great time for entrepreneurship. It's a great time for small business development. The business plan would max out profit margins in a healthy economy. But in a bad economy, the business plan would ensure that your business stay alive. And so we talk about some a real topic. Last year, 2020 was 2020. Rather, you were talking about businesses that was Fortune 500, Fortune 1000. Some of them folks went home and went out of business and filed bankruptcy, while others skated around COVID and smiled and did jumping jacks and everything else because they were ready. They could take a hit. And so, whether your business is major corporate 500, Fortune 500, or whether you're a mom and pop shop in a convenience store, a good business plan would help you navigate the trends, the economic trends, because it's not a matter of if it's going to happen. It's only a matter of when it's happening. If it wasn't going to be COVID, it was going to be something else. So there were some businesses because of a good business plan, they fared well. They were prepared. They could take a hit when it came down to COVID and what we experienced last year. Even if you go back a decade prior, for those of us that's old enough to remember in the banking crisis, there were some banks that gave back the TARP money. They didn't need the TARP money. And so I know that's Greek for you younger millennials, but when the mortgage bottom fell off in our country a decade prior to, every bank didn't need the TARP money. Why? Because they had a sound business plan that can weather whatever economic trends that was going to happen. And that's what a good business plan really is. When you're talking about creating a business plan to succeed, it has to be being able to speak to economics, right? And the economy as a whole. There's two major drivers in economic policy. You have obviously physical policy. Physical policy is politically driven, is government driven. You got to be able to account for physical policy. What changes are the lawmakers going to make? What new regulations are going to come down? What new compliances are going to come down? How do that speak to my business? How would that affect my business? If there's a political change on either side, typically, what do those political parties vote, and how do those votes affect my business? Not no one else, but how does it impact my business? Whether you're blue or red that's running. And so that's what we call physical policy, right? And then you have monetary policy, and that's the banking system. What is going to be the banking system response to physical policy and to economic trends? And that impacts your business. So your business plan have to be able to speak to economics, the economy, monetary policy, physical policy, all of it. Now you say, well, Anthony, that's a lot. All I really want is just my store and be left alone and make some money and go home. You're really hitting us home. This is how much experts say the average business plan takes about 10,000 hours to prepare correctly. And a lot of that 10,000 hours is research. How well do you know the industry that you're in? You're saying today that you're a welder. How well do you know that industry? How have you looked at the historical trends of that industry? You in the cosmetology industry, the barber industry. There was a lot of incentives that came out as people that as we relate to what we call the personal care industry and personal service industry here recently. And how what again? What's the economic trends in that industry? Whatever industry that you're operating in, whatever type of business that you have, you need to look at the historical trends and the current trends today in the projections of where it's going. So that's where the 10,000 hours worth of research goes in that. You may not be the one to do it all, again, back in the days, the encyclopedia used to come to the door and knock and sell the real expensive encyclopedias. That's how old I am. I remember that. Now we have it in the palm of our hand, and it's a cell phone, um, which you can do tons of research in the palm of your hand about various different topics at any moment. Keep in mind, and I joke about this all the time. I may be a year off, but I believe like YouTube is like 15 years old. Facebook is like 15, 16 years old. What in the world did we do before then, right? They're only 15 years old, YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. Look it up and see how old they are. That's a challenge for you today. Um, and email it to Wanda. But when you start to think about that, you know, the world was moving around, business was being done, people was making money, and so on and so on, way before those platforms exist, right? But it's understanding the projections of the way one of the major companies right now whose stock price when it first came out, and I love talking about Amazon, and look at the IPO of Amazon when it first released initial public offering. Look at Amazon stock price today. The CEO typically with good projections saw the world going in a different direction. We called it e-commerce. We read about it in business school in our textbooks about the world of e-commerce. Look at e-commerce sales today. I mean, just Amazon being the the leader in so many segments and industries, and that people shop from the palm of our hands. We have Cyber Monday that comes up, right? And so many other things, but that's because of good projections. And let me go back to understanding projections in your business plan. Projections need to make sense. They need to be based on relative data that's out there, industry analysis, benchmarking. Projections don't need to be in left field. People throughout my life, and I've been in finance for the last 20 years in various different capacities, would bring business plans, 200-page business plans. I thumb through them, honestly. I'm not saying I'm going to sit there and read it all because I didn't, but I always thumb through the projections piece. And I look at the projections as it relates to the industry or the segment that particular business is operating. And then I did what we would typically call benchmarking or competitive analysis. What are the true numbers right now for any business that's in that industry? And so you start to think about that. If you need to know the numbers, you got to know the numbers. And I love talking about the numbers. Like what do your competitors make? What are they making? What's their past performance look like? So that your projections can be real and believable when you're doing your projection piece or your financial component of your business plan. Understanding understanding that These are historical trends. These are the current trends. And this is how I justify my financial projections. Whether you're talking to lenders, bankers, whether you're talking to potential investors, business partners, and you're pushing your business forward, your projections got to be founded and based and grounded in something. And there's a lot of great data, free data out there for you to do substantial research so that you can have really good projections. I think that that's really important component if, from a financial standpoint, is understanding that operation cost comes to existence, right? A lot of businesses never really fully have the funding that they need to truly operate
Mhm.
efficiently and effectively as they need to. And so here's the scary truth, and here's the reality that 98% of all businesses fail. Whether they black businesses, white businesses, Hispanic, Asian businesses, LTVG, doesn't matter. Whether political party don't matter. Whether you're rich starting your business or poor starting your business, 98% of all of them fail within 5 years. That's the reality, folks. And
Mhm.
to navigate past that 5 year mark, to navigate past failure, you have to have a good business plan. The business plan, it may not necessarily be something that you can do in its entirety yourself. Yes, you should play a vital role into it, but reaching out to industry leaders, reaching out to professionals, subject matter specialists, and experts is most definitely needed. It's most definitely needed.
Mhm.
You need to understand those various different components of the business plan. So the financial projections are relevant, they're factual, they're something that you can look at. They're based on good data, no. And so they're able to help sell your business. Um, Another component is really target market and target audience. Um,
Mhm.
Over the years, a lot of people, everybody's not your customer. And I want you to understand that everybody is not your client. Everybody don't want your product. Don't get mad. I just don't use your product. It's not mine. I'm not
Yeah.
going to buy from you. I'm not being discriminatory or anything like that. I just don't want your product. And everybody don't want your service. And so you can't. So a good business plan help you identify your target market and your target client or your target customer.
Mhm.
So you do have a market out there for your product or service. And that's what the business plan helps you do. It helps you to reach that market. It's called a marketing plan component of the business plan. We're talking about marketing now. So when you start talking about marketing, I always mess with my associates and my students over the years. Um, and we talk about the 5 P's of marketing. So you got price, right? Why is understanding price is important? Because these are components of your marketing plan. Price, right? So you got to
Mhm.
know what's the average price for my service in this demographic area. Real estate prices is different in California versus Arkansas, versus New York,
Yep.
versus Chicago, versus Florida. So price becomes a factor, right? So if I'm looking at price, what's my price point? And if in my price point, what's my profit? What's my true profit margin or my net profit? So you got price, that's one P. Can anybody tell me another P? Ooh, we got price. And what else we have? No, we
That product.
got product, right? Product knowledge is absolutely vital. How well do you know your product? How well do you know your service? What's the benefit of your product? Do you understand how your product benefit the client or the end user? Do you understand how your service benefit the client or the end user? So you got product, right? Product knowledge. It's kind of like if you pull up and you pull up to the Mercedes-Benz dealership, the Cadillac dealership, the Toyotas. Let's go back to Toyota and Honda, right? how well do you know Toyota and Honda versus GMC, right? So if you're a faithful Toyota driver user and you have owned several Toyotas, you can go to town and sell a Toyota because you know what a Toyota gonna do. You can sit up there company and stare them eyeball to eyeball and say, I put 400,000 miles on my Toyota. And all the thing I did was change the oil and do standard maintenance. And then that Toyota, that wasn't the only Toyota I put 400,000 miles on. So what started to happen, right? You have product knowledge of your Toyota, of your Honda. You know that those things can run. You know 300,000 miles ain't nothing to put on a Toyota or a Honda. You can sell that comfortably. Your confidence level is there because you have product knowledge. So so we got price, we got product. What else do we have? We have people, right? People. Who's the peeps? Who's the people that you're marketing? Do they like hot catfish and greens? Right? If you're in the restaurant business and you down south, some catfish steak and some good greens. You know, it's only one proper way to eat greens. I'm messing with some folks tonight. I'm just having fun. But you got the collards and the turnips and all that, right? How long it take to cook them turnips versus those collard greens? Let's see how country you are. Uh,
Oh, you don't
how
really
long
want
does
to
it
know the
take?
answer.
It's a difference in time between cooking them turnips and them collards.
It
All right,
is.
then. So if you're sitting up there and you got to understand people, the end user, the people that your clients and your customers, what do you understand about the people that you're wanting your product sold to or your service rendered to? Um, and understanding sociology, understanding culture, understanding traditions, understanding ethics and morals for certain people, um, your product just begins to, because you're marketing people, right? And so you
Mm-hmm.
got to understand your people that you're dealing with. Are you dealing with a traditionalist? The average traditionalist right now is about 85 years old. That's on the young end. Are you dealing with baby boomers? Right? Where my baby boomers at? Where my people that's probably about 75 to 65 at? That's called B1. Then you got B2. Where Generation X at? Generation X probably about 40 to about 55 years old. I'm a hybrid, so I ain't gonna tell you my age. I'm a good hybrid. I'm right at the end of X and the beginning of millennium. So you got millennials, right? Where are you at, right? And then you got what we call after millennials, you got Generation Y, and then you got millennials Y, younger millennials. Then you got Generation Z, and then it starts all the way back over to alpha generation. The alpha generation is someone between the ages of 1 and 7. That's why they alpha, because they start back over. So we're sitting up here talking about people, right? If you're marketing a baby boomer, a B1 or B2, what is someone born in that time era in that age bracket? And then there's always an exception in every generation. But the average baby boomer, the average baby boomer, how much money does the average baby boomer have? And then you have to think about life experiences, right? For someone right now that's born, that's in
Mm-hmm.
school, I mean, they went to masses last year. They went to school with masses on, right? So that generation has went through that. Like you always have the greatest generation that went through World War I and World War II and XYZ. It's things that goes on because you're marketing a people group and you're trying to identify with the people group. So I can't just hop on people right now. But what I'm trying to tell you is that you have to understand the people that you're marketing for your business, whether for profit or nonprofit, whether for profit or nonprofit, you have to market it. You have to understand your customers and your clients. So that's three P's, right? Somebody give me another P. It's called promotion. How are you going to stimulate excitement for the people, right? How you gonna get the people attention? You know, I always mess with dealers, and I'm gonna mess with dealers. So everybody know at the first of the year, dealers gonna run. Dealers don't run a lot of sales, folks, but everybody know they're gonna have their biggest sale first of the year. So then you can rush into dealers, right? And you go shopping, but good old JC Penney's every 2 weeks don't hit you with that 25% off. You use that penny card, 30% off, 25% off. You use the other card, right, girl? And then you accumulate the points from JC Penney's, and you can go in there and see and hit them with that. What I'm talking about is promotion, right? Clearance stuff, clearance items. You see them all the time, whether you in your major retailers, Walmart, anywhere. You see a clearance aisle where it's tremendously discounted. So, what promotions are you running to capture the attention? How do you reach them through advertising, which is a part of marketing, and ultimately make the sale? Because that's the end game. The end goal is to make the sale. So if you're looking at your business model and you're thinking about the P's of marketing, because that's what we're talking about, how do you what promotions do you run, right? What discounts are you giving? Now let me tell you this: all promotions are uh, tax deductible. Yes, consult your CPA. Promotions are tax write-off. When you give a discount off your service or discount off your product, the amount that you're discounting is a tax deduction. So I always get a good CPA. So when you start to think about promotions, right? So it's kind of like back in the day when I worked in the rent-to-own industry when I was an undergrad in college. Um, we would have a great promotion. Sales would be low, and the rent-to-own industry. If you ever lease furniture or rent furniture, you know what I'm talking about. You already know what you're paying when you see that finance contract. So when I was in the rent-to-own industry and I was young and in undergrad, we were around like a $5. Sales was low for the week. Come Friday, it'd be $10 take it home. Just about anything in this store. Then we have a few items that $10 wouldn't take it home, but that was the promotion. $10 to take it home for the first week. You mean I can get this TV for $10? Yeah. I used to love when spouses would come in together and I would turn to the wife and say, "Can he have this big screen TV? This nice 65 inch? Do you want him to have it so he can sit at home and watch TV and enjoy the game?" Then the wife would probably want a new bedroom set. She want that new bedroom set, $10 to take it home. What I'm saying, the promotions work, right? So you got to think about what promotions in the banking world. Open up a checking account and we'll give you $250. We'll give you $100 if you open up a checking account. All of that's a form of promotions. And then the fifth play thing of I gave you the answer actually. The fifth P in marketing is place. Locations matters, and let's kind of home in on that, right? Obviously, if you're in a economic challenge area, a lot of times people open businesses and they really don't understand place.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that your service is not good as a mechanic in New York, but you're not in New York, New York. You're not in Beverly Hills, California. You're not in Scottsdale, Arizona. So because you are in different a different place, it's important that you understand the place where your business is operating. Now, there are some exceptions to that, and it's called e-commerce. And selling
Mm-hmm.
online opens up a lot of different other avenues. But I want you to kind of think about place, right? In the realtor world, they'll say location, 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 location. It matters where your business is located at. It matters what place your business is at. And I kind of segue a little bit to talk about if your business is a brick and mortar establishment only,
Mm-hmm.
but you can no longer afford to be a brick and mortar establishment only. Um, you have to have some versatility and be versatile in that and basically have an online presence as well. And that's why we have social media platforms that we use like tonight, right? So you got to think about place not only as a physical location, but
Mm-hmm.
Are you on Amazon and not on Facebook with your business, right? Are you on Etsy? Are you on Instagram and not on Twitter, right? Those are places. And I want you to kind of think about that as it pertains to your business. So one, I know I talk a lot, That's what I get told my whole entire life. You want to jump in?
That's why I told you. I said I was turning it over to you. No, I just want to go back and just recap a little bit because you covered a lot of information there. Go back to the executive summary when we're talking about that. I normally tell people write that last because what it is a summary of your who, what, when, and where. And most of the time, if you go ahead and finish the other parts of your business plan, it's easier to go back and put that part in last. So that's one thing. You talked about mission, which will be company, including the company description, talking about what your business actually is, what products or services you're going to offer, where are you going to offer them, like you just said about the placement and promotion. How are you going to offer? Who's your target market? Who are these people that want to buy or be served by whatever it is that you're offering? Now I'm cheating because I'm reading off my list because my memory kind of shot. You talked about products and services. You talked about placement, promotion, your people, and that connects directly with your target market. And so you want to know that the products and services that you're proposing to do are actually things that are wanted or needed in the market. I used to always give this example to people in class about, you know, if you want to open a donut shop and you want to open it on Main Street, well, there's already 4 donut shops on Main Street. Does Main Street need another donut shop? And then what's going to make you different from the ones that are already there? So that gets back into your what you said about your promotion and how you know your product and how you talk about your product and how you advertise everything. So be sure that you're thinking about that. Are you part of the oversaturation of a market? Because that can happen and that can kill business as fast as anything if there's too much of one thing in one place. And that, as you said, goes into your market analysis. Because before you start, and I used to always have people come to me and they want to start a business. Number one, they didn't know what business they wanted to start. That was the big thing. Number two, they had no idea where they wanted to start the business. They just knew they wanted to be in business. And number three, they usually always came up with something when they did have an idea of we already have too many of in a certain area. And like you were saying about starting a business in a low income area, can that area really support another business like yours? What's the
So
market like? What has it been traditionally? What
you
has it
mentioned
been in the
something very
past couple
vital.
of years? hmm
You
So
mentioned
you have
something
to
very
think about all
vital.
that stuff. Go ahead. I'm sorry
Uh,
because I think I.
you mentioned something very vital. Um, there's to me two type of businesses. There's businesses of the heart, which I have always called your nonprofit social assistant businesses.
hmm
Um, you're not doing it for the money, but you're doing it for the greater good. And and so there's businesses of the heart, and then obviously there's the businesses of the mind, which I've always said. Logically we think, we know, we have an innate uh, a thought process, consciousness to survive. And so you have businesses of the mind that you're in this for the money, and it is about the money, and you're not trying to lie to yourself or anyone else. It's about the money. And so a lot of times people are torn between businesses of the heart and businesses of the mind. You can run both. You can have both. Um, that's a lot to put on yourself, but you can have multiple businesses. I want folks to understand this, and one that you can attest to this because I see your life and I've seen your life for a long time. You are a serial entrepreneur. You really are. Um, there
More like
are
you're a killer, but
there,
okay.
oh my lord. There's going to be sacrifices um, made
hmm
for your businesses. Um, the ugly truth of it is you may lose your family. The ugly truth is that you may lose your health. The ugly truth is your business may not work and you may lose everything you got financially. The ugly truth is you may not sleep for 2 or 3 days, and that becomes your norm. The ugly truth is your phone may be getting text and rang all day long, and you don't have no quiet time. I want people to understand um, the the difference. There's a sacrifice to be in business. I if you're one, we look at success, and I've always said this: you need to define success for yourself, not no social media platform, not no friend, not no family. You need to
Mhm.
define within your own heart and with your own head what success is to you. So you will feel so that you can feel good about doing what you're doing. Don't take someone else's measurement or standard of success. You need to define success for yourself. But
Mhm.
when you start to think about that, there's a lot of sacrifice to have a business. And if you're uh, living out this business plan and you're working this business plan, yes, yes, there's some sacrifices that have to be made. Um, so when you talk about you plan to succeed, one thing I want the audience really to think about is you know mentally preparing yourself for 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 a long journey ahead. Um, and being able to put the right, and we don't talk about this enough, but the right coping mechanisms in place
Mhm.
to so that you can go on as the entrepreneur and as the business owner, so you won't burn out, so you won't lose your mind, so you won't be unhealthy or have a or be out of balance. And that's, in corporate we talk about the work life balance all the time, and even as a business owner, you got to find a balance in this. If you're someone like Wanda and I, who have several, Wanda has more businesses than me, you all. Let me just tell you that. I'm not trying to do that life. But if you're somebody who has, um, it takes a lot out of you. And I jokingly always talk about the pastors on call, right? You get a call 2 a.m. saying I'm going to kill myself. You on call. You get a call at whatever in the morning. You on call. That's the real life, and it's not pretty at all. So when you start to think about your business, if you're planning to succeed, then you need to plan for some rough times. Your business owners a lot of times suffer from loneliness because
Mhm.
no one's gonna love your business or businesses like you. It's people that'll tell
Exactly.
you they don't give a flip about the church. Really, they don't. I mean, that's what you decided to do. God called you, He didn't call me. I'm just being real with you on so many different levels because you need to understand that as you plan to succeed in your business, that loneliness is real. You're working your business and you're doing your business, and mentally, physically, even you're not physically doing the business, mentally, emotionally, you're there, and you're always financially there in your business. You always is always a finance ordeal. So there are some things that I think, on an individualized level, on a personal basis, yourself, and to be able to keep yourself in balance. You need to plan to keep yourself in balance. That need to be a part of your plan. Uh, you may come to the conclusion that you don't need to do this by yourself, and that you need a business
Mhm.
partner or partners, and that's sensible, folks. I see a lot of people jump out there by themselves, and that's a scary thing. That's a scary thing. Um, because it's not a matter of if, it's only a matter of when it's going to be some downtime in your business. And so you may right out the back say, I need some business partners to kind of head off some of this so it all won't fall on me in my business. And that's part of your business plan when you start talking about ownership structure, right?
Mhm.
And organization structure. So, I mess with people all the time. People jump out and they go form an LLC. It's nothing wrong with an LLC, But my question to them always is, why are you an LLC? Can you tell me what's the benefit? Or people go off and say, I heard an S corp is the thing to be. Okay, why are you an S corp? Because they told me to. I'm a regular C corp. Why are you a regular C corp? Do you understand the benefit of all of that? I'm a nonprofit. Why are you a nonprofit? Cause bro, you really a don't talk like the young. You really a for profit over there, man. So I want people to understand that it's important to do the research, understand why you what you are, as it benefits your business, as it benefit you, the entrepreneur. Um, it's good to have a good board of directors on either side, for profit or nonprofit. Uh, you need you need people, and I'm going to say this, and this is the truth. You need people around you that you probably can't afford to have around you. You need key. You need somebody that's being where you're trying to go, and I'm just talking about good mentorship here. Um,
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that
it's
up.
real. Like you need to find a mentor in business. You need somebody even in your same industry. If you, I'll use this for, if you're a new barber and you got a shop, you may need to go with the old school guy, man, and just shoot and have coffee with him, because that dude done made it 50 years, or she's made it 50 years or having her own shop and have grown it, and they been through the heartaches and the hardships that you're gonna go through, and
Hmm.
you're gonna need that type of mentorship in business to set way you out. And so that's my thing, is that a lot of people think it's all glamorous, right? I make my own schedule. You don't have a schedule. It's a lot of it's a
And
lot of
then,
myths out there that's just not true on so many different levels, Wanda. And I think a good business plan should encompass a care plan for the business owner or the entrepreneur to keep things in
mhm,
balance, because you got the, regardless of who you are, personal drive business, personal drive business. And I tell people that when it comes down to business credit, um, it's never a time in finance that I have seen where they turn their nose completely away from your personal credit as it relates to you attaining business credit. Unless you are a Fortune 500 company or a well capitalized company, that's an exception to that rule. Well capitalized, well financial astute company across the board, set up with the right structure and so on. But in the beginning, personal credit drives business credit. Your personal budget gonna drive your business budget. If you got a $20,000 a month, $30,000 a month lifestyle on your personal side, your business got to be able to compensate that $20,000, $30,000 a month lifestyle that you got,
mhm,
or something gonna have to give. That's called budget management and money management. So that's a stress on your business to operate and take care of you. And so that you got to think about all of these components when you're developing a good business
mhm. Well, you just wrapped up overhead in a nutshell, but you make some good points because a lot of people don't consider that when you're going into business, we're backing up to what you said about maybe losing people and being lonely. And I used to tell people all the time, nobody loves your babies the way you love your baby. Your
plan.
business is your baby. And is there somebody in the background listening to Facebook? If you'll ask them to turn their volume down, that's like as much as you are. So what you have to do is make up in your mind. It goes back to that self-evaluation part we talked about earlier. Is this something you're willing to do, and are you willing to make the sacrifices that's necessary? Because, like you said, there is no such thing as a set schedule. You're not going to become a millionaire just working 1 hour a week and all this stuff. You're going to have to put some time into it. That means you're going to miss some birthday parties. You're going to miss some family outings. You're going to miss some things in order to grow that business if you want to achieve the lifestyle that you want to achieve. And you can that's the harsh side of it. You can work around some things, you can schedule accordingly, you can do what you need to do. But you need to understand going into it that you're gonna have people that you think that should support you that are not gonna support you. And I used to tell people all the time, be really careful who you share your mission and your vision with, because everybody's not meant to understand it. And it's not their mission or their vision. So when you're sharing it, you have a lot of people that are going to shoot it down. They're going to call your idea stupid. They're going to say you can't do it. They're going to call you crazy for even doing it, especially if you're a person who's working a 9 to 5 now and you want to go out on your own to do something. Oh my God, you're the craziest person in the world because you want to leave a paycheck. And that's a fear driven thing. I mean, that's common sense. Most people are going to be afraid to leave that 9 to 5, to leave that guaranteed paycheck. But if this is what you want to do, write your plan and make it plain. Write it to where somebody else can pick it up and read it and go, I see what you're trying to do. Because when it comes down to getting funded and being able to talk to whether it be angel investors or friends, or if you want to take on partners, people want to know that they're investing in something that's sound, that you've thought through, that you've done your research, you lined up all your ducks, you crossed all your T's, and you dotted all your I's. Nobody wants to invest in a Waffle House that's a Waffle House that sell tires in the back. I mean, you gotta think through it and make sure that the business makes sense, and then make sure that there is a place for it in the market. Um, I think we talked about everything on this list. What I am going to do is later on is I'll go in the comments and I'll put all the different parts of a business plan in there and kind of give a little bit of explanation. That way, if somebody's watching and they want to go back and read the comments, they can and kind of get some guidance on it. But I think I've seen a lot. Anthony's probably seen even more so because he was in the banking business and stuff longer than I was. But you'd be amazed at some of the things that people bring to you and present and say, "This is my business plan." I've seen one-page business plans
Yeah.
that basically just had the person's name and they want to sell eggs. I It's something weird. They were serious about it. So I mean, it doesn't have to be 200 pages. Doesn't have to be 400. It does not have to be a novel, but it does have to make sense. And if you're asking somebody to fund your dream needs to make sense. So that means that you need to take your time and work through whatever parts of it. And if there's pieces that you don't understand, particularly the financial part, I would say contact an accountant or a bookkeeper or a tax professional, somebody that can understand the profit and loss margins and do all the financial paperwork for you. Because sometimes it can be a little bit tedious, especially if that's not your background. If there's product knowledge you're liking, internet has everything. But nothing is ever going to beat talking to, like you said, that barber that's been in the business 50 years. Having that business mentor or having that person that, you can say, hey, let me take you to lunch one day. I just need to pick your brain. And I say that for two reasons. One, they're going to have experiences and knowledge that you are hoping to one day have. Two, they're going to tell you all the pitfalls are. If you can get a person to be really honest about the business and to really sit down and open up and tell you, they're going to tell you all of the pitfalls they had, and they'll tell you some ways that you can avoid those things. Build those things into your business plan, because what a funder wants to see is, okay, I see you want to borrow this amount of money. I need to know how you're going to pay this money back. But what happens if you don't make the sales that you projected? What happens if there's a dip in the market? What happens if there's a pandemic? What's your strategy? How are you
Contingency
going to
plan.
implement this? And thank you. What's your contingency plan? What are you going to do to make sure that every month I get my payment? That's really what they want to ask you. They just really want to say, how much do you want and how you can get my money back? That's really the basis of the whole thing. But you need to have a business plan that expresses all those things in plain language. I've seen business plans that I swear to you, you needed two PhDs to read, and it didn't make a lick of sense. Folks just like use a whole lot of big words and make it. It was pretty. It was beautiful. To be honest with you, paper, everything. but it didn't make any sense because they just used a whole bunch of big words to say a little bit of nothing. People don't want to see that. Nobody's going to sit there and read a 200-page business plan, folks. Just understand that right off the bat. A
Let me say
well,
this:
go ahead.
the business plan is 90% for you and
Mm-hmm.
10% for everyone else. The business plan is for your iPhone folks is Siri. For Android users is Bisbee. It's your navigation system. It's OnStar. It's all of those things. It's your compass, right? So the business plan, and I know we think we're doing business plan for the people, no, or businesses. The business plan is 90% for you, 10% for everyone else. It's your guide at the end of the day, your compass. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what you got to think about as you develop your business plan. This is what you're going to use to make sure you stay in order and intact.
Oh, one last thing we didn't talk about was making a succession plan part of your business plan. I don't know anybody who starts a business and plans to work until the day they die. And I mean, literally, you're 90 years old and you still going to the office.
Well,
Building that succession plan.
that's
Go
a
ahead.
different story though, Wanda.
Mm-hmm.
That's a different story. A lot of times you may not have the the a succession plan in mind or in heart, and so you will end up losing clients, losing losing a direction. A succession plan needs to be something that's talked about. Succession planning is something that needs to be talked about. So you have to look at that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You got to include that because there's a way. Everybody wants to retire at some point. I'm one of those folks that have decided I'm probably not going to ever do it because I don't like not having stuff to do. But at the same time, I don't want to have to get up every single day and still be working when I get to a certain age. I like to fish and sleep. That's all I want to do. I want to fish when I want to fish. I want to sleep when I want to sleep. If I feel like working, I work, and if I don't, I don't.
Right.
So that means I got to figure out a way to keep money coming in, but I ain't got to work. Well, that's one of those things you think about when you're doing your plan. And we talk about um, what is it called? Start how you want to finish.
Mm-hmm.
So just like you're writing your plan to get through and start the business and operate it and to make sure it survives, then how do you want to finally get out of it? How do you want to sell it at the end? Do you want to leave it to family members? Do you want to just, do you want to continue to maybe work in the background and pass it on to somebody? But how do you want to go ahead and how do you want that business to continue once you're not doing your day-to-day operations? So that's just something to think about. But it is fifth, we got about 2 minutes. And I think we have pretty much covered everything. And like I said, I will put those 7 parts into the comments if you want to go back and read those. But Anthony, give you last few words if you want to make our closing remarks. And Pastor, we're
Well,
going to get down from here.
no, again, be detailed about the given vision, the God-given vision, the vision that you have, the dreams. Be detailed about it. Um, a business plan brings order, it brings structure. So make sure you can follow it, and that's really the component of it. Seek professional help um, in the areas that you need help
There you go. Well, all right. Well, we appreciate you all tuning in tonight. And like I said, if you haven't already, go over to the page on Facebook and like us. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for watching over there. Make sure you subscribe so that you can see new videos every week. Hit the like button, the follow button, subscribe, the bell. That's what I'm trying to say. Hit the bell so you can know when new videos post. But thank you so much, Anthony. I appreciate you. Next week, we're going to cover another part. And I think next week we're talking about funding. So when we come back next week, we've talked about self-evaluation. We talked about the business plan. Next, we're going to talk about how to get your money. So if you need to actually borrow money or do your financial plan to get
in.
money,
How to get the
we're going
money.
to cover that part next week. How to get the bag. Now, let's what says young folks say how to secure the bag.
I don't
So
know
we'll be
much. I'm
talking
not
about that
young no
next
more.
week. So make sure you all. I'm older than you.
I know, but I'm not young no more. Hmm.
So make sure you all tune in again next week. Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on tonight, Anthony. It's been always a pleasure. Thank you all for tuning in. And we will see you again next week, same time, Tuesday evening, 7 p.m., right here on Facebook and on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe, share. I'll be putting that information in the comments for you a little bit later. So make sure that you come back and rewatch and share the video with somebody who's thinking about starting a business. And if so, you can contact either Anthony or I, either through one of these posts, and get to us, and we can give you more information if needed. So again, thank you all. We'll see you next week. Anthony, have a good night. Tell
You as
Shannara
well.
I said hey. All right then.
I
Y'all
will
have a
do
good
that.
night. And we'll see you next
Good
week.
night.
All right. Bye.